Hello and welcome to North Country Matters. My name is Donna Seymour. I'm a member of the St. Lawrence County League of Women Voters, one of the civic partners for our show. My guest today is Kathleen Stein, president of the League of Women Voters of St. Lawrence County. And we're going to talk today about how and why to make a voting plan. Kathy, welcome back to North Country Matters. Many civic organizations, including the League of Women Voters, urge us all to make a plan to vote. This year, with several ways to vote, it just makes sense to strategize how you will vote, doesn't it?
It surely does. And thank you, Donna, for having me back on North Country Matters. Um, the first thing that the League and other groups urge is for you to do is to check your voter registration and if you're not registered to vote, get registered. If you haven't voted in a while, it's possible you could have been removed from the voter roll. So you do want to check the status of your registration. The registration deadline in New York is October 26th this year, and that's also the first day of early voting. If you're not sure about your registration status, the simplest place to go, but I would say this, wouldn't I, would be vote411.org, which is the League of Women Voters site, but it really is one-stop shopping. You can check your current registration. You'll be directed to your state if you're from out of state and want to register there. You can check your registration status, check what's on your ballot, all kinds of information that you can get there. Another good reason, besides if you haven't just voted for a while, that you should check your registration is if you've moved in the last year or if you've changed your name.
Right, those are good reasons. So step 2 of your voting plan is getting to know your ballot. You can see a sample ballot of your voting district by going to your county's Board of Elections website. Every election district in each town is available as a PDF. Once you know who is on your ballot, you can read up on the candidates, their positions, and any ballot measures that might be on your ballot in easy to read and understand language. You can then print out your ballot. You can take a screenshot of your ballot or otherwise save your choices for each item on your ballot. You'll know where to find your choices when you go in to vote and making filling out your ballot that much easier.
Yes, and ballots, people sometimes, if they don't vote very often, especially, can find the ballot a little intimidating and confusing. So I urge you to look at your sample ballot. But now we come to the heart of your voting plan. Ask yourself how you plan to vote. As Donna mentioned, we've got several ways. You can vote early by mail this year in New York. You can vote absentee. You can vote in person early voting, or on election day. So then first you decide how you're going to vote. And then if you're going to vote in person, ask yourself when, what day are you going to do it? Check your work schedule, your class schedule. If you're a student, put it on your calendar. I have my date on my calendar. You want to, be sure that you have a target date. Then you want to make sure that you have decided how you're going to get to the polls if you're planning to vote in person. Are you going to vote on election day or early voting? And so, again, how are you going to get there? Local colleges are going to be providing transportation for students from campus. For individuals, you could, decide how you're going to get there. Are you going to drive? Are you going to carpool with friends or neighbors? If you have your own vehicle, offer, people rides to the polls. Make an occasion of it. Make it an outing. We recently heard about a Canton running club that every election day makes a circuit of the polling places of members of the group so that each, one can vote. And we thought that was just a terrific idea. I also want to mention that the League of Women Voters New York State has a great voter reminder tool that will send you a text about key dates and deadlines. Text Vote NY to 474747 to sign up, and you will get timely information on registering to vote, when to apply for an absentee ballot. the days of early voting, all kinds of information like that. And I always want to assure people, you will not be barraged by text messages from the League of Women Voters. They really, really just send you reminders of important dates.
It's a great service that the league provides. One thing that is a good thing to mention right now, that if you are planning to vote by mail or by absentee ballot, you can go ahead and order those right now off the Board of Elections website for New York State, or you can go to Canton and get it right at your county. And I think many post offices and town offices also have those forms, but this is the time to go ahead and get those applications in and to the board so you can get your vote by mail or your absentee ballot back. It's also important to understand the process of voting. Learn more about how elections are run in your state and how individual voters can get involved in our democracy. You can even sign up to be a poll worker or a volunteer. There are always openings for that. And the Board of Elections does a wonderful job at training new poll workers and reminding existing poll workers what the rules are for that year. The local Board of Election has more information about that and is always willing to help educate voters and citizens about the process.
Absolutely. And I want to mention that being a poll worker is not a volunteer position. You're paid for the time that you spend at the trainings, you're paid for the time at the polls. So, and quite well too. So, again, urge you, there's always a need, always a need. As an informed voter, another aspect of this is you do start, making yourself better informed about the voting process and the candidates. You can help fight misinformation and disinformation in your community. And I think we are all aware that this is a really terrible problem and all over the country. There are candidates and outside groups who deliberately stoke fear and distrust in the election process and in the body politic in general. And there's usually no evidence to support their allegations, or if there is some grain of truth in it, it's being misleadingly presented and framed. I mean, particularly watch out for social media posts that aim to push your buttons. I mean, anybody that is just trying to, get a quick reaction out of you is not immediately to be trusted. These bad actors count on repetition of bad information to plant the seed of distrust. And often they don't even care if you entirely believe what they're saying. They just want you to distrust the process. Being a careful voter who checks sources and seeks out truth can stop misinformation in its track. Remember, you are a trusted voice in your community amongst your friends and relatives. Help your friends and family get the information they need to vote, and be ready to help others get ready to vote.
That's good advice, Kathy, because we all have to be alert and paying attention to the information that we're getting to make sure it's from a reputable and trusted source. And we also need to remind voters that on their ballot this year, we'll have a front and a back. When voters flip that ballot, Kathy, what will they find?
When they flip that ballot over, New Yorkers are being asked to vote on one statewide constitutional amendment this year. And this amendment will add several additional rights, civil rights, and anti-discrimination protections to the state constitution. The current language in the state constitution only protects against discrimination based on 4 factors: race, color, creed, or religion. And that language was adopted back in 1938, and the world has changed quite a bit since then. So right now, New York's state constitution does not clearly protect all New Yorkers, specifically pregnant New Yorkers, women, those with disabilities, LGBTQIA+ people, older adults, and people from different countries and cultures. These are our friends and family who face discrimination. And discrimination not only hurts individuals, but damages our broader community. The proposed ballot, it's called, Proposal 1, as it will be on the ballot, will expand the constitutional protections based on several new categories: ethnicity, disability, age, national origin, sex, including sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, pregnancy or pregnancy outcome, including abortion or miscarriage, and reproductive health care and autonomy. And the latter include the choice of contraception and IVF. And I always want to emphasize all these protections already exist in current New York law. So quite simply, if this amendment passes, our state constitution will be expanded. It will be just taking, rights we have guaranteed by law now, but protecting them under our constitution as well. And it will be expanded to include people that frankly in 1938 were not being thought of as separate groups needing protection. And so you could think of it as modernizing our state constitution and bringing it into the 21st century. Obviously, the League strongly supports passing Proposal 1.
Thank you, Kathy. So we've talked about how to make a plan to vote. Now let's talk about what kind of a voter you want to be. What do you care about? What are your values as a person? Do you listen to candidates who say, vote for me, I hate the same people you do? Or are you a voter who votes for values or his values? Do you want everyone to have a fair chance to succeed, to live in freedom? Do you think government works best when it takes care of everyone, including the young, the old, the sick, the hungry? Does health care, a fair wage, and education matter to you? Know your values when you go to vote and make sure that is your reason for voting this year.
I could not agree more, Donna.
Well, thank you, Kathy. As always, it's a pleasure talking about these issues with you, and we hope we have helped to educate our viewers and our listeners about making a plan to vote, which is really a critical piece of voting. It's more than just I plan to vote, it's how I plan to vote that is going to make you a successful voter. So just a reminder to our viewers that you have 4 ways to vote this year. You can vote by mail, by absentee ballot, if you're not able to vote in person. You can vote during the 9 days of early voting, which run from October 26th to November 3rd, at 2 locations in St. Lawrence County, the Clarkson Building on Maple Street next to Kinney Drugs and the Dubisky Center in Ogdensburg. Or you can vote on Election Day, November 5th. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in your regular polling place. Remember to flip your ballot this year to vote on New York State Ballot Prop 1 to ensure that anti-discrimination protections are enshrined in our state constitution. Remember that elections are decided by the people who vote, so make sure your vote counts. These conversations are a production of North Country Matters. This show is a civic collaboration between the League of Women Voters of St. Lawrence County and the Potsdam Public Library. Until next time, remember, our North Country matters.